guys. Hey, welcome to the Sky's the Limit call. My name is Stephen Yee. I am your host today. Before we bring on our special guest, who I'm very excited to bring on with us, he's a very good friend of mine. He's a massive business owner. Not only that, he sells a lot of insurance, protects a lot of families, and he's an integrity partner. So Mr. Rob Richmond is with us. But before I get into that, I wanted to make sure that we go over a few things. Number one, if you haven't had a chance yet, please register for your national conference. It is free $99, costs you absolutely nothing, right? If you go to fflconvention.com, register a ticket for you, your spouse, whoever else that you have want to come over. Here's what I can tell you. Usually most people have like one keynote speaker when they have their events. We have six, right? And six good ones. Alex Rodriguez, Pastor Matthew, Jocko Willink, right? U.S. Navy SEAL. Damon John, Shark Tank, for those of you guys that watch. Mr. Dave Anderson, he's the Mr. Accountability, great guy. He's actually the personal coach for a lot of NBA players like Damian Lillard, for those of you that follow basketball. And Vernice Flygirl Armor. So she's going to be there as well. So we have a lot of great talent that are going to be speaking at our national conference that are going to teach you how to sell insurance. But our guest speakers alone, most people can charge $500 to $1,000 just to go listen to them speak. So make sure you register. When they ask you for which agency you are a part of, make sure you select FFL SkyPoint or whichever agency you are with within our group. So next slide. Today, I'm going to be in Bullhead City, Arizona, doing a business overview meeting. So if you know anybody in Bullhead City, send them over. Address is 1170 East Hancock Road. I believe it's at the library. So get them there, close them for you, get them in the business with you guys, and be ready to rock. So if you haven't had a chance, please text FFL to 1-833-773-3759. That is our text campaign that allows us to send you text messages of the trainings that we have, the recordings, all the updates that we have from corporate as well. So, and if you haven't had a chance to join our Discord channel with Andrew Taylor, for those of you that are new, and you're like, hey, what do I do in a home? Well, we have our underwriting genies in there, and you have a lot of agents that you can ask a lot of questions to. So, all right, let's get that out of the way. So, without further ado, my good buddy, Rob Richmond, I had a chance to meet him about 2 years ago. Matter of fact, it was in Vegas. We came out to Vegas for a work meeting. It was a very small, tight-knit group, and I had heard about him because he, sells so much insurance. And I was like, you know what, let me go introduce myself to him and see what kind of guy he is, right? Because, you always have your, everybody's like your first impression is your lasting impression. And so I was like, let me go introduce myself to Rob and see what type of guy he is. And truth be told, he was cool as hell. And he was actually one of the nicest, agents that I've met in our company. And it's just been really, how do I say this? Transparent. Right. I think this is a really good word of like just sharing what they're doing. And we do the same. And I had a chance to learn a lot from Rob, and he's an insurance agent veteran. He's been in the industry for a while, and he can share that with you guys. But, one of the things that was fascinating when I had a chance to speak with him was he said, I protected 850 families this year and I never wrote any AIG. And I was like, wait, what? So I'm going to dive into that story. I'm going to have him share that story a little bit, but he's a sales machine. Matter of fact, one of the agents saw our flyer that went out. He said, Rob Richmond's doing your call. And I was like, yeah. He goes, dude, he has the best phone script in the industry. When he shows up, the clients already buy. And I'm like, well, I got to find out what he says. So without further ado, Hall of Fame producer, Hall of Fame agency manager, board member, and integrity partner, Mr. Rob Richmond. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Steve, that's a hell of an introduction. Thanks.
Dude, so, for those agents, because a lot of the agents on this call are brand new, right? And so can you kind of share your story with them, like who you are, how you fell in the industry, and then how you fell into FFL?
Sure. So I've been in the business for 12 years now.
Wow. Okay.
So it's funny because I recently hired a young girl for my staff, and she's like 23. And I found myself talking about stuff that was like, oh man, that's before your time. And I like said that for the first time and I couldn't believe it. So I'm like, I'm getting old. I'm 36. I've been in the business since 24. And I got into the business Because I had no other choice. I was serving food in an Italian restaurant, had some background issues. I had to skirt around, didn't kill anybody, just drove drunk and probably could have killed someone. So I had no choice but to get really good at serving in an Italian restaurant or selling insurance 1099 sales. And I was really sick of doing side work. So anything to get out of slicing another loaf of bread, I would have done. So I got into the business at 24. That was the right age for me. If I was any younger, I probably wouldn't have been in the right headspace to approach this the right way, which is embracing the suck and doing all the things that you don't want to do to be successful. So I started my career where a lot of us came from, running union leads, child safe kit leads, working, door knocking, grinding. And I had an opportunity to leave and start a final expense agency through a different company. And there was a lead driven culture. And I was really excited to buy leads because then nobody could tell you no when you asked for them. You could just buy them. So I've always had like that approach towards leads. I get to buy leads and versus I got to spend money on leads. Like I get to buy my income. Right. And then just transition there to mortgage protection and kind of hopped around a little bit. I've been at let me see. So Lincoln, Ashura. So I've been at four, this is my fourth company, but like 6 stints. So I was like at the first company twice. I went to the second company, then the mortgage protection company I was also at twice because I went back to that first company and came back. And then a couple things happened where I was just in the worst headspace ever. And Mark Mead was in town. Who was having dinner with one of the guys that used to work for me at another company. And I met him and thought this was going to be a really good opportunity. So came on board having not worked really. I would give aged leads as a punishment to my agents, believe that. So like now they're gold over here. I would like, I was like, you came late to a dial day, so you're going to get old leads now. So that's your punishment for the week. And that's what I then had to work here. Which I thought was really funny. It was like kind of like karma. And I thought I made a huge mistake coming over here because I wasn't selling any insurance. I had like, I was 33. I guess I was 32 and a half, 33 years old when I came on board here. And I had like 25 grand in my name. I was not in a great spot financially. I had just gone through a divorce. And I spent like literally a third of that money on leads my first week. Wow. I'm like, I'm going to buy $5,000 of annuity leads because that sounds fun to a vendor that didn't exist. So I was just like, boom, out 5K. My morale was like pretty low after that. And then spent $2,500 on EverQuote leads because they were going to match you. I thought they matched the whole thing. They just gave me an extra 1,000. So I was like really mad about that. So now I'm just like really pissed because I spent $7,500 on leads and like I broke even on the EverQuote ones. And I'm like literally 1 minute away from quitting. And Mark sent me over a batch of second chance mortgage leads. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm pretty good at selling these as a brand new lead. Like, I could probably figure this out. So I didn't figure it out for a week. And then I was really going to quit. So then I threw a Hail Mary pass and got kind of smart alecky with the people that were telling me no. Like if it was like, I already took care of this, I'm like, resolved lead, no longer interested, resolved lead, didn't qualify, resolved lead. And I already took out a policy, resolved lead. And I was just getting like all these no's, not realizing that there was an opportunity with every single one of these objections, we'll call them, to convert it into a sale. So I was just like, what do I have to lose? I'm going to quit anyway. I'm just going to say, perfect. That's exactly why I'm calling, no matter what they said. And it worked really well. So I'm like, perfect. That's exactly why I'm calling. You know, I own the agency locally here. And what I found is that there's a bunch of bad agents running around showing the right people the wrong product for their situation. And unfortunately, I'm doing some damage control. And 9 out of 10 times, I'm able to get clients into a better position financially, whether that means saving you a little bit of money or getting you better living benefits for exactly what you're paying for now. So best case scenario, you're 1 out of the 10 that actually met with a good agent. I can put a fresh set of eyes on that and say, hey, don't touch this. Other best case scenario, because there's no worst case scenario for you, you're 1 of the 9 out of 10, and I can put you in a better position. And your family will have more peace of mind knowing that you're in the best spot possible. Now, I'm not in the business of wasting time, yours or mine, but I do want to verify a little bit of information here to see if it makes sense for us to get together. And I just like rattled that off randomly one time. and it worked. And then I did it like 3 more times and it didn't work. So I'm like, cause I'm like unstable. I was unstable mentally at that point. So I was just like, I was like hanging on a thread and like the scissors was there ready to cut it. And then I got that one yes. I'm like, oh, then it turned into a rope. And then I got like those 3 no's and it's back to a string. And then I said it again and it worked. I'm like, oh, so all I got to do is like talk to 4 people and say this. And then like 1 out of 4 people will be like, okay, cool, come over. So then when first of all, my show ratio was perfect when I was doing that, because everybody just thought I was coming over as a service person, like not a sales call at all. And I was closing 100% of those people. So I was setting like 15 of those a week. I was seeing 15 people and I was closing 15 people. And I started writing $25,000 a week doing that. And then I did that every week for 75 weeks in a row.
Wait, say that again. You were writing how much a week?
It was like legit between 23.4 and 25.5, like 75 weeks in a row. So then it was just, and no AIG, because so first of all, it was out of necessity. So I never had that contract because I got vectored through like some bullshit company that I got debt rolled from some turd from 7 years ago or something that I didn't even know existed. And AIG's like, yeah, no, thank you. So I'm like, cool, your shit sucks anyway. So I just would say, so I would sell just like return of premium policies with like AMAM, and they would take most of it. You know, luckily I didn't really run into that many people that were going through cancer treatment or like Alzheimer's or dementia. Like luckily, but I would have to walk from those. I guess if I wrote those, I probably would have written another 20,000 over the year or something like that.
No, you had a lot more, dude. You'd cross that 1 million mark for sure.
I mean, I really did cross that million mark. I just put so much business under other agents that I didn't even code it under myself. So I definitely hit that. But I have a bleeding heart. So I like to help people out. So if they wanted, like, if they were struggling, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to just put this deal under you and you can like break me off 25% and use that money for leads. And I probably did that like a bajillion times that year. So anyway, I wrote a ton of business doing that. And I found that once I got brand new mortgage leads that I actually didn't write any more business. I just spent more money and I was on the phone less, but I didn't ever write. I was the most profitable and I was running the old stuff.
You know what's funny is, so I was telling this to somebody the other day, right? And, you know, mortgage data has been kind of dry because of the industry, right? Like, I mean, real estate's kind of high in interest rate. Housing is kind of ridiculous right now. So most people in their right mind wouldn't purchase or refinance a home right now. So like our data is pretty low. But like one of the leads that I fell in love with was age mortgage protection, because you can get as much as you want, right? They were like $5, $10 max, right? So for for 7 to 8 age mortgage protection leads, I can get 1 regular mortgage protection. Well, here's the stuff that people don't remember is a brand new mortgage protection lead. There's 14 other mailers going into the same house at the same time. And you got to be good because like your competitors with the company.
I have better numbers. I have better numbers for you on this. So so I'm not the best builder in the company, but like straight up, I think I'm saying this humbly, but I really actually believe this. I'm probably the best salesman at FFL, like on mortgage leads. I'm sure there's better instant internet and like final expense salespeople, but like, I just don't think there's anybody that could write more business than me on those leads, given the amount of appointments that I ran. Steve wrote more business, but he had 4 times my lead flow and ran more appointments. I just wasn't willing to do that. Like straight up, I didn't feel like doing that. So
right. And you're talking about Steve Giordano, the #1 producer in FFL. So
yeah, I mean, I trained his ass. So I trained Steve, and like, so here's the thing. I'm saying this for a reason. So I'm really good at it. And if I got 40 mortgage leads a week, I was setting 22 appointments off of that.
Wow.
All right. And that's no.
New. Got it. Okay.
So brand new. So I'm going somewhere with this. So I'm really good on the phone. Like seriously, humbly, but I'm freaking good at it. So I was only setting 22 out of those 40. That's including rollover from like previous weeks, me dialing through those. So if I'm converting, 55% of them, that means there's another 18 leads that I never even got a hold of that are going into that CRM. Now let's take that further. Now my show ratio was probably 70, 60, 2 out of 3 would show up. So then that's another like 6 of those leads that are going in the CRM that I was never able to get a hold of again. Now we're at 24 out of the 40 leads. Then I'm closing 75% of those. So that's another 4 leads. So now we're at 26 out of the 40. And then 75% of my business stayed on the book. So now we're taking another 4 of those leads and we're putting, so there's 30 out of 40 leads that I was getting brand new, where I'm converting pretty damn good. 30 out of 40 of those are now $8. So I'm like, that's a better lead. That's a discounted lead. That's a 90% discount on that lead. So I'm like, feed me those all day. I would rather have those than a brand new lead, because I can get 30 of them for $240 instead of $2,100.
Right.
Or $2,400. So I'm literally going to spend 10% of what I did. And there's deals in those. Like there's just as many deals in those 30 leads. Shit, half of them bought and then just canceled because they didn't like me or I was too pushy, whatever it was. So like those are like freaking guaranteed sales. And they're better quality leads, in my opinion, on a brand new home purchase, on a 3-month-old lead. Because I don't know about you, but like I would meet with a 35-year-old couple that just bought their dream home 2 years ago. For God's sake, they could do that for $350,000, but they stretched themselves a little bit. And the no's that I would get were not from the refis. I'd close every single refi. It was from a new homeowner that didn't know what their bills were yet. Well, 90 days later, they know what their freaking bills are.
Yep.
And now you call them and it's a layup sale. They're like, yeah, we were thinking about it. We met with someone and it wasn't the right time. Now we're ready. Dope.
Right.
See what for. Like I'm just telling you, like all of what you said before I said this is also very true. But the confidence that my new agents have when I'm like, hey, this is a lead that I just never got a hold of, that is like just waiting to buy. Like, please buy those leads. And the deal size on those is twice the final expense deal size.
Yep.
And the persistency is probably, I don't know, 25% higher on a mortgage lead than a final expense lead. So it's double the size, it's stickier. Quite frankly, it's an easier sale because you're not sitting on cat piss and they have a bank account. So like, I just can't believe that people aren't like, if there's any hesitancy on that, like please strip it from the equation and buy them. And you can do them on one call closes too. That's the craziest thing.
Right. Matter of fact, that's some of our agents, how they get started. But, one of the things that I see often, Rob, is, people struggle on the phones, right? And they go, everybody goes, man, I'm a beast on the phone. I have no problem calling people until they actually do. I've heard a lot of people say that your phone script is one of the best in FFL, in the industry, whatever it may be. What makes your phone script, like if you want to role play it or run through it, like what makes the psychology of your phone script so much better than somebody else's?
I don't know if it's better. It's more effective for sure. Because I realized early on in my career, because keep in mind, like this isn't my first rodeo in life insurance sales. I've been no-showed like a son of a gun, like for the majority of my career. And I just got sick and freaking tired of it. So I didn't want to get no-showed anymore. So I'm like, I'm just going to excessively qualify my appointments. So if they set this appointment with me and they don't text me to cancel, like they're going to be there. Right. And then I don't have to sit in traffic getting no-showed and be pissed off and then go to the gas station, chug a Red Bull, be like all hopped up, then give like a too fast, angry presentation to the next one. Like I just didn't feel like doing that anymore. So
right.
Somebody who sells just as much insurance as me that does quick sets that I don't know how they sell as much insurance is like Easton Patton. Like he quick sets his mortgage and he writes just as much as me. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't know if it's better, but I get no-showed very little compared to what his no-show percentage probably is. And he might be better or more likable in the house to like build the rapport and find the need and qualify. And he might be better at like prepping the case in real time. but I was always a fan of just like doing all the legwork before I got there. So it looked like I put in a lot of work for him before we actually got to the appointment. So, yeah, sure. So ring, ring, just say hello.
Hello.
Hey, Steven.
Yeah.
Hey, Steven, Rob Richmond, giving you a call about the mortgage protection response card you sent in on your loan through Chase. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I was calling you and your wife because this is the type of coverage where if anything happens to either one of you, the mortgage is taken care of for your family. And that's what y'all are looking for, right?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So just need to verify a little bit of information here. Have you right off the phone. So I have your address at 123 Main Street, and that's in Vegas, correct?
Yep.
All right. And the amount of the loan is for 400,000.
Yeah.
Was that a new home purchase for you or a refinance?
It was a new home purchase.
Congratulations. Do you love it?
Love it.
Feel like home yet? Or are you still walking into walls in the middle of the night?
Feels like home.
There you go. So ballpark for me what the new monthly mortgage payment is on that.
2,400.
All right. You set that up over 30 years, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
All right. I got your date of birth as 10/20/1989.
Yep.
I'm guessing you're 33. Anyway,
Pretty close.
your wife is whatever. All right. So I get a ton of these response cards each week. So I have to do a little bit of screening here health-wise with you, Steven. So tell me this, you're young. I'm guessing you're healthy for the most part. In the last 7 years, you've been in pretty good shape. No major health issues, like no heart attacks, strokes, cancers, nothing like that.
No.
All right. What about this small stuff? Do you take anything on a preventative basis or on an as needed basis for any of the following? High blood pressure, cholesterol, thyroid, anxiety, diabetes, non-insulin diabetes, but oral medication for diabetes. Take any pain pills for arthritis, gout, got them.
Yes.
And so whatever they say, I'm like, no problem. They could have said yes to heart attacks, strokes, congestive heart failure at 20. And I would have been like, okay, cool, no problem. So I'm like, all right, Steven, the reason I was asking you all those questions is because I'm a broker. So what that means for you and your wife is I'm going to be able to shop and customize the best plan to not only fit your situation, but most importantly, your budget. So what I do with all my clients is set up 15, 20 minutes at the most, get together with you. If we were going to do it now, I'd say set up a Zoom. We're doing everything virtually now. Get together with you, go over all your options, answer your questions, of course. And look, if I can show you and your wife something you like, great. And if not, no problem. Fair enough?
Fair.
All right, cool. So on here, it says you usually get your best time to call you is around 5 o'clock. Is that when you're getting off work or getting home?
Getting off work.
What time do you usually get home?
5:30.
5:30. And then is your wife usually there around that time as well? Or to get home at? Okay, perfect. Now, are you the type of people that like to get the business done first, or you like to have dinner, chill for a little bit and do things later on after you're relaxed?
Let's get done with business first.
Okay, thank God. So I'm going to be out in your area tomorrow and Wednesday. On tomorrow, I could do something around 5:45, give you 15 minutes to chill and breathe, just in case there's some traffic. Or on Wednesday, I don't have an earlier one, but I could make you the last one of the night around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Which one of those is going to work better for you?
Tuesday.
So strategically, I'm going to give them a good one and then a shitty one. But if they see me at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, like they're going to buy.
They're going to buy.
So, you know what I mean? So, all right, cool. So, look, Steven, I know life comes up, but no news is good news. So if anything does pop up for whatever reason, I want you to feel comfortable reaching out to me and we'll coordinate our schedule when it works well in both of our calendars. Okay. But for there, you don't foresee anything popping up tomorrow, right?
I don't think so.
5:45 tomorrow, you and your wife will be home.
Yep, we'll be there.
All right, beautiful. Now, before I have you off the phone, I make it so uncomfortable. It's like, just get off the phone already, but this is intentional. I'm like, so before I have you off the phone, I'm going to shoot you over a picture of my business card and the day and time that we're getting together. Again, no news is good news. And last thing here, Steven, because it gets dark around 5:30 now, where am I going to find the address to your house? On the mailbox, the house, or the curb?
All of them. All
All
three.
of them. Now, you want me parking on the street or in the driveway?
Street's fine.
All right, and leave a light on for me just so I know it's you. All right.
Perfect.
I look for that text. No news is good news again, and I'll see you Tuesday at 5:45.
Sounds like a plan.
I think if we timed that, it'd be like right around 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Right.
That's what I found. Like the sweet spot was 4 minutes and 20 to like 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Like anything longer than that was way too much. Anything less than that, I like rushed through it and I didn't control it enough.
Right.
So when I set that appointment, like, you know why I'm coming. I gave you enough outs. So if it doesn't work, just text me and then I'll see you again. when it works well on both of our schedules. And by the way, everybody sets the appointment each week. That's their week maker that they're really excited about. And then this thing happens every time. Like you like showered, you shaved, you did your hair extra nice, you wore nicer clothes because you want to impress this one. And as you're turning on your car, you get the text that they can't make it. So
Right.
what I like every time without fail. So those are my Thursday night or Sunday morning appointments. So I would always roll my week maker to a time when most agents aren't working. They're like, because most agents are lazy, let's be honest. They're like, oh, my dial day, I got my appointments and set them by 2:00. I got the evening off. I was like, F that, dude. I want to create more time in my schedule for me to go see people when they can be seen. So I'm going to strip out all the excuses and reasons why. Sunday morning, okay, so Texas, you're either watching football or you're in church, right? So like,
Right.
I'm going to get there between that sweet spot between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. All right, so I'm going to get 2 appointments in that sweet spot. And every time, I'll tell you what, I'm a Browns fan, so my life sucks on Sundays. The beer tastes better if you've made $3,500 before kickoff because your day can't suck. So I would go make 2 sales. They were usually really good sales, super sticky, super fast. All right, this is what we're looking for. Here's my bank information. Get me approved. Like, boom, I could do 2 of those in an hour and a half, including drive time on Sunday morning. So every Sunday, I'd set 2 banging appointments. My 3 best appointments were going to be Thursday at 5, 6, and 7. So I was going to set my best appointments to front load the week because I knew my Friday was hit or miss because it was seniors, and seniors either are awesome or suck. You're not going to sell them. They're either going to say yes or no. So I would set all my old people for Friday. So I wrote 4,000. I usually wrote 4,000 Thursday night, and then Friday, it was either I had a $6,000 day or like a $700 day. It never was in the middle. So I was either going into Saturday at 10K, and my drop dead every single weekend was 10K. Like I had to do that in order to stay sane. So a lot of times I ended up, including my Sunday, between 14 and 16,000 going into Monday. So there was less pressure on the back end. All I needed to do
Right.
was 5,000, like 20,000 was my drop dead every single week. So because it was my drop dead, I usually hit it by Tuesday night. And then Wednesday was just a bonus. And usually when you don't have to perform, you freaking kill it. So that's where that was like your 5 to 7K day on Wednesday. So anyway, I worked 7 days a week. But I also knew that awareness is good. So like, I knew that if I had to be perfect, like Easton for 12 hours a day, like I couldn't do that. I could be perfect for 3.5 hours a day. So I was going to set 4 really good appointments a day, 3 to 4. And I was going to qualify the hell out of them. So they were going to be there. And I didn't have any anxiety wondering if I was going to be wasting my time driving to it. So it was all very positive all the time. So I'd get in front of the client. I loved the one that I was with. I didn't rush it. I gave it everything I had. They felt like they were the only person in the world. I was really good at eye contact. And I just always made them feel really good and special. Then on to the next. Something I could have done better. Like I used to leave burnout marks in the driveway, and that caused chargebacks. It's like, boom, out of here. Let me gun it to the next one. And I started to get whammed, dude, just straight whacked with chargebacks. And I started to, every deal over 2,000, I used to send them cookies. There's a cool service in Dallas that costs like $30 for like warm chocolate chip cookies and cold milk to be delivered to somebody's house.
Really?
So every deal, dude, 1% of my commission, I'm in. I'll tithe that shit to my clients.
Right.
So ain't nobody canceling chocolate chip cookies and cold milk. It's just not happening because nobody does that. And they remember you. So when another agent calls, they're like, bro, my agent got me cookies. Like, you're
Right.
not coming over. And it's so stupid, but it was like literally 1% of my commission. So and a business expense. So not only was it good for business on the books, but I could write it off. So anyway, any deal over 2,000, that was a standard. I'd shoot my assistant a message. I was like, tips, treats, this address right now. And then like 45 minutes after I'd leave, like they'd get cookies delivered at their door. And it was just a nice surprise with a little note saying, thank you for your trust in business. Sincerely, Apex staff and Rob.
Right.
And they'd love that stuff. So I would do that. And look, I just was really productive. Like with the amount of appointments, it was kind of a miracle. Like Sean used to I know Sean's funny because like I was putting up all that business and I like straight up raised the bar for the entire company with the production I was doing at the time. Cause like Persina wasn't doing $1 million. Steve wasn't doing $1 million. Ivan, like it was like 600,000 was good. And I'm like banging out $70,000 months. And he's like, why don't you work more? And I'm like, I just don't think you understand. If I work more, I'll get worse results. I promise. Don't let me burn out. I'll work 7 days a week for you for 3 years in a row. Like I won't complain. I won't take vacation. Just like, don't make me work more hours.
Right. That's hilarious. So when you got to the door, right? I'm always curious because see, here's the best part. Like, just like how you know your numbers, my phone script, I knew exactly. If my phone calls were longer than 2 minutes and 37 seconds, they asked too many questions. If it was shorter, I was probably gonna get no show. Like, you just know when you do it long enough, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what, like, I want to know what your in-home structure looks like. Like when you walk to the door, if they wanted to take you to the couch, like when you sat down, what did you show first? If you needed to establish credibility or not, like, I'm curious to hear the whole thing because, you know, I've always said this, like, there's more than one way to do this business. Does that make sense? And like, we all have our own results in a good way. And so, yeah, man, I'll like, let's say, so you pull up to my house, you know, Tuesday at 5:45.
You're going to laugh because it's just this, it's so simple.
That's the best part. And I'd rather it be that way.
My pitch was like 5 minutes, dude, because I already gave a 5-minute pitch on the phone. So I knew exactly what I was coming. I'm like, I was good at shaking hands. Like you mentioned first impressions, like I make a decent first impression. And the funny thing was this, like, okay, so I used to wear suits in the field when I was at other companies.
Interesting.
I said, F that, I'm going in gym clothes. So I wrote the million in a backwards hat, mesh shorts, and a Nike pullover.
No way.
I'd never wore clothes. I 100%. The second year was 100% in gym clothes, every single appointment. If I wore jeans, it was because it was cold, like it was freezing. Right. I've run appointments in cutoffs before and closed $4,000 deals. I just didn't give a rip. So I was going to be comfortable if I was working 7 days a week. So it started this, and when I knock on the door, they're like, I'm like, yeah, great to meet you. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for being home. Like, can I come in? They're like, yeah, come on. I didn't care where they told me to sit. So I was really good with control. So they thought they had all of it, but they really didn't have any. I didn't care if they're like, sit there. I'm like, great spot. Like, I didn't care. I wasn't like, no, we're going to the kitchen table. I wasn't that guy. I was like, let's sit wherever. And I would like lean back and put my leg over my knee and go like that on their couch if they put me on the couch. Like I would just get funny. So I would build a medium amount of rapport. I would ask them a couple follow-up questions, like people like to talk about their kids and how much their job sucks. So I would ask questions, those things. So I don't know, as in like did you have a good day today? Mine sucked. Mine too. Let's see whose was worse. And then I would say that. I literally would say that. And then they'd say what happened. And I'd be like, all right, you got me beat. Or you think that's bad? Let me tell you about my day. I cleaned up dog piss and shit and puke on the floor this morning. I rolled my ankle running out of the house. I pulled a muscle in my back and my wife hates me. I think I beat you on that one today. And then I'm a person though, like it was intentional. Right. So I would just like say that stuff. And then they'd laugh and then immediately want to do business with me. Their food stuff, like, I'll use one demographic as a questionable demographic. So nobody get mad at me. Africans are hard to sell. All right. So like from Africa, like straight up from like, I cracked the code. I asked them about their food and fufu and what they have in their freezer. And I started closing 100% after going 0 for 80 the prior 10 years. I would ask them about it. They'd get so excited. They would tell me all about the different fufu flowers that they have in their pantry, their dried crayfish in the freezer. So I'd start going into these houses being like, yo, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Kick me out if I'm wrong. But if I open your freezer, am I going to see dried crayfish, which are just dried shrimp? And if I look in your pantry, how many different fufu flowers am I going to see? Oh, you know fufu? I'm like, yeah, I know fufu. And they're like, oh, you're good people. So like you like Spanish people, same deal. Like if you run into people that have accents, ask them about their food. They will love you immediately. So like that. Or if I couldn't crack the nut on that, I'm like, your kids must be well behaved because I don't hear them or see them. And they'll be like, oh, that's because they're at their friends. And then just get them laughing. All right. So I do that. And then it's like, all right, dude, I could chop it up with you all day, but I have another appointment I have to get to. And I want to give you the right amount of time. And I don't want to rush this. So tell me what you're looking for. And they would just tell me what they were looking for. And I'd say, perfect. That's exactly what this is going to do. And then whatever they said, I would just guide the presentation towards that. I want something that'll pay off the house if I die. Perfect. I got you. I want something that'll pay off the house if I have a heart attack or stroke. Perfect. I got you. I want something that's going to give me all my money back. And so I can get out of this damn thing early because my wife made me spend too much money on this house. Perfect. I got you. And that is it. And I'm like, all right. So I'm a broker, got options. I need to get some more information from you. And then I'm going to go over a couple of options with you and you're going to pick one if it works. So then I go through the financial information form. And then I say, look, so the way this works is pretty cool. The money's going to go directly to you, not to the bank or lending institutions. That's going to give you options and flexibility when something happens. So my clients do one of three things: pay off the house in one lump sum, wash their hands of the biggest bill each month. They put an installment payment down and refinance and lower their monthly mortgage payment, or they throw the money in the bank and do whatever the hell they want with it. Completely up to you. But the important thing is having options and choices when you're going through adversity financially and health, right? I think you'd agree. And that's what you're looking for, right? It's just the choice instead of being forced into something, right, Stephen? Okay, cool. So the options we're going to go through today are super simple. They're going to make sense or they won't. They'll be affordable or they won't be, like I'm telling you. So but once I go through everything and I answer all your questions and I go over everything, it's going to be crystal clear to you whether or not it makes sense or not. If it does, we're going to submit an application with the underwriters and I'm going to do my best to get you approved. And if not, we won't do anything at all. Fair enough?
Fair.
All right, and then I go over two options and I say, of these two options, which one makes the most sense for your situation, but is comfortable financially and gives you the peace of mind that you're looking for. And I just be quiet.
So,
perfect. That's exactly the option I would have picked if I was you.
Okay. So here's what I'm always curious about, right? So you said, no matter what they said in the beginning, that's the reason why you're here. So you were saying, one of the things you were saying was about, you said, hey, if you want to pay off the whole house or pay off the house in case of an illness, whatever it is, what do you do with senior mortgage?
Equity protection.
So like if they want to pay off the whole house, but they're 69, right? Mm-hmm. How do you revert that back into senior mortgage or equity protection?
And they have health issues or mm-hmm. They don't?
Yeah,
they have health issues. I say you can't do that. I'm sorry.
So you just flat out tell them you can't.
Yeah, I'm like, I wish I could, but you can't.
So what do you do with the ones I go, well, if I can't get the whole thing, I don't want it?
I'm like, okay, well, I'll leave.
That'll work. Yeah,
because they're not going to buy it. You could spend 2 hours until you're blue in the face trying to convince them how sweet equity protection is. And they're still going to be like, nah. That's why Fridays were either huge or terrible. It was like they either bought the idea of it or they didn't.
Right. That's fine.
I ain't gonna lie, a 72-year-old with a $24,000 Eagle is a nice sale. So if you get two of those, that's $4,500.
Yeah,
I was good with that. So if I could get 6 of them, if I can line up 6 of them and 4 of them tell me no, and that's why I'm like, okay, cool. I guess this was a waste of our time. They're like, I told you it was going to be a waste of your time over the phone. I'm like, you were right. I'll leave.
Got it.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
So only 2 options. You weren't like top down and you weren't a 3 options guy. You're like right in the middle.
I wasn't. And here's why. So, the reason why I wasn't is a lot of times they'd pick the middle option. And I thought I was just like leaving too much money on the table because when I went to the only 2 options, 50% coverage or 100% coverage, 3 out of 4 went with the 100%. Versus like 90% of them doing the middle option. Because I can always give them the middle option. I just don't want to put it on paper.
Right.
They're like, oh, middle option. I'm like, God damn it. Because I knew had I had the 100% on there, they probably would have picked it. I was also a big fan of doing 100% on the guy and 50% on the wife, just based on income.
Yeah.
And the men's rates were always going to be more expensive, so I didn't really care. Yeah.
So what, like in-home face-to-face objections? I need to think about it. How do you overcome that?
So, bro, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not good at overcoming objections.
Okay.
I just didn't get them because I was so proactive, like throughout the presentation. I'm like, dude, because I'm like nodding my head like a freaking bobblehead. And I'm like,
Right.
that's what you're looking for, right? This is exactly what you're looking for, right? Makes sense, right? That's what you're looking for, right? And we want to protect this person, right? And they're like, right, the whole time. So then if they told me no at the end, I was genuinely confused. My
Okay.
no sales were usually the equity protection where they like didn't want it.
Okay.
And I'd like push. So like I had so many closes like throughout the presentation that I might get them earlier. So like I can answer your question. So, hey, look, I'm not buying anything today. I'm like, cool. Anyway, I'm going to continue.
Right.
I was the earlier. So one thing that I'll coach my agents on, and I swear to God, I should have a team that's really big right now. And I don't know why, because this is what I tell everyone, like, if they just listen, this will work for you.
Right.
Like the earlier in the presentation that you get a rebuttal, you get an objection, the shorter the rebuttal should be.
Yep.
So if they're like, hey, I want to think about this, I'm like, we haven't even given you anything to think about yet. Anyway, this is all going to make sense in a minute. And then I like let it roll off. Or like, I'm not making a decision today. I'm like, I think you might once we go through this. So this is all going to make sense in a minute. So just bear with me. And if they're just like, if they just want to be that, like, I'm not making a decision first, like I like those because like once you give so many presentations and you get really good at this, like a zero pushback presentation is boring. So I used to like those. I used to like,
100%.
That stuff. So I got pretty good at it. Like I'm not quite as sharp as I used to at it, but I don't know. I was it's either going to make sense or not. If it doesn't, like you buy it anyway. I don't want you to make a decision.
Right.
But if it makes sense, we're going to try to get it approved. Okay. Is that fair? Like if it doesn't make any sense, I don't want you to do it. I'm on your table. I'm on your side of the table. Does that make sense? We won't do anything. I won't even sell it to you. I won't even try to sell it to you. So if the decision is easy, let's not make a decision out of principle. Like we could also do the right thing and protect our family if it makes sense, right? Like we can do that. I don't know.
I love it. No, because dude, it's kind of like what you said, when you get really good, you start doing the presentation, but you're not doing the presentation. Right? Like the words are coming out of your mouth, but your thoughts are like, I'm reading body language. Like this guy's leaning back in his chair or he's sitting on the edge of, like, while you're talking, you're not actually, thinking about what you're saying because you've done it so many times. And that's when you get like really, really good. But like, it's fascinating because, people always ask too, they're like, dude, when, how many objections did you get on your Hall of Fame run? I'm like, not much.
Not many,
they're like, how? And I'm like, dude, you set the table really well. You don't get them. The best way to eliminate objections is by saying it before they do. Right. But, once in a while, you'll have the guy that, like you said, the ego driven, on principle alone, I'm not going to, do anything today. All right. Well, I don't care. This was my line. I was like, I'm not your spouse. I'm not your significant other, or I'm not your son. So like, if something happened to you, I really don't care because my family's taken care of, and boom, pack my stuff and leave.
Yeah. So earlier in my career, I would say things like that. And then every time I'd get in my car after I'd say something like that, I'm like, I wonder if I didn't say that. Like, I wonder if I matched his energy and try to approach, because I used to do that stuff all the time. I'd be like, I'm getting a check or I'm getting kicked out of the house. And it was just like, I don't know, whatever. It was what it was. But I would like, as I like at FFL, because I was getting so much more activity and I was seeing so many more people that like, yes, I don't want these people to know that I'm making $100,000 a month. Right. I don't want them to know that. So like when I'd said that one time, I had like just bought a Rolex and I'm like, I don't want them to, like, I feel bad that I just said that because I think the biggest punishment, like, here's what I thought in my head. I'm like, that guy's punishment is that his family hates him already. So like, I'm just going to leave and he's going to have to live his life. And if he doesn't want to do right by them, which probably would have gotten him what he wanted from his wife, and he didn't do that, then he can just deal with his misery. and they'll probably be divorced anyway. So I just I took that perspective of it more so, because it's just, there's not too many people that actually care about their family that will say that to you. And then it's a short-term thing anyway. So I'm with you. I got away from that more. And I think my tone was probably very passive aggressive and sarcastic. And I'm lucky I didn't get shot in a couple of houses for things that I said. But you know what? I felt better not to say that and leave getting in a car where your car payment is like what their mortgage is. And
Right.
I just like dealt with that.
So here's what was always fascinating about it too. Like, luckily, it never got to a point where I had to say it very often. You know what I mean? But like sometimes in my machismo in your clientele, that it just, I don't know. I just had to sometimes. But what was fascinating?
I know what you mean.
But here's what was fascinating though. All my no sales, I gave to my agents, and they would go close them.
You know, there's something to be said about that too. And when I piss people off, I'd give them the like Jesse Parley, who's like just a giant teddy bear, and I'd be like, here, pretend like you're my manager.
Tell them I got fired. Yeah.
That you're firing me. Yep. For my bad attitude.
Yeah.
And he loves it in his head, you know, because in his head, he's like, I hate Rob anyway, so I can't wait to fire him in my head. Like in the moments that I'd give it to him. But yeah, so I guess the takeaways from this are that, you know, assumptiveness is really important, and you can't have you can't have artificial control. It has to be real. You can't have it all has to be real. So if you're setting the appointment and you qualified it and they're there, it's okay to be surprised if they tell you no. Your genuine reaction to that could be surprise, because why in the world would they not do business with you after all of this?
Right.
Why would they be home? Why wouldn't they just cancel the appointment? But so that was my approach, is I have permission to just be my authentic ball busting self if I do all of this on the front end. So if you want to take this kind of approach and not have to rebuttal too much, not get too many objections, have a good show ratio, you got to be willing to make like a bajillion phone calls. When I was running the old leads, I didn't count my dials. I burned 2 iPhone batteries. That was when I was done for the day. So that you have to be prepared for war, just 2 days a week. And then you're driving around picking up checks the rest of the week. But most people hate their job 5 days a week. I didn't like mine 2 days a week, and I liked it 4 days a week. So I thought that was a win. So I'd torture myself for a couple of days and then drive around. Yes.
I like that perspective. Most people hate their job 5 days a week. I just didn't like mine for 2. That's solid, because dude, nobody wakes up and goes, man, I can't wait to go into, to dial today. I never did. I'm just being honest. Maybe other people do, but not me. But it was one of those things that you had to do because you knew the activity of what you were doing was going to yield you phenomenal results, right? There's no other way to say that. So, hey, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A or the chat, and we'll have Bob hit some of these.
The financial thing. So this is a piece where I was not good. I'll rephrase that. I could have written more annuity business than I did, but I was so obsessed with the instant gratification and the transaction that I probably walked away from a lot. Because there's no way Brad Allen is that much better than me, or Pavlovic was so much better than me at getting annuity shots on goal. I was not combative. I told people they were pretty more than I told them they had problems. So if they had life insurance, I'm like, perfect. That was the smartest thing you ever did. What was the purpose of it? And they tell me it's usually income protection or final expense. I'm like, great, not to take care of the mortgage, right? They're like, nope. All right, cool, dead. Never talk about it again. I didn't ask the stocks and bonds or CD question unless I was doing equity protection. Equity protection, I did find 4 or 5 small annuities, all under 100,000, but it's they got 50K in a CD that they ain't going to touch, and they wanted to grow a little bit. So I would do that with the older people. With the younger people, I just didn't care. I didn't want them talking about their financial advisor. I didn't want them talking about their 401k and talking themselves out of sales.
Right.
So, yeah.
Love it. Yeah, dude. Cause that's one of the things that Andrew always taught me. And dude, I don't know if you know how good Andrew and Paul were in the field. they were like scary good. Paul's whole thing was he wrote 600 a year working Tuesdays and Wednesdays only. Like he never worked any other day in the field technically. Like he was just good. But I say that because like I remember my first home, I'm sitting down doing financial inventory for mortgage protection. Guy has like $500,000 in his 401k. And I like literally flipped my entire presentation to try to close the annuity right then and there. Like that's stupid. Don't do that, right? Like Andrew says, don't tidal wave sell. Like what that means is like you're there for mortgage protection, sell mortgage protection, and then come back, bam, fam, book an appointment, book a meeting from a meeting to come back and sell something else. But like you're there for that, do that. And so that was magic. Like I had to learn that the hard way. But yeah, I love that. Cool, dude. So hey, as we wrap this up, Rob, like, in my opinion, one of the hardest things for brand new agents is they see your activity. They see some of the top producers, the Hall of Fame producers, they see their activity and they go, well, I can't get there because it's just a mental block, right? It's a work thing. It leads in appointments, dictates income. Like there's nothing more than that. But like what I've come to realize too, is like some people literally set themselves up to fail themselves. And what I mean by that is they do enough premium and then they go, I can't crack that 20K barrier. Let me drop it. Like, let me bomb next week. Or they tell themselves all these things, subconsciously where they bomb. Like I had an agent this past week. He was like, hey, so-and-so did 10K this weekend. Like, that's insane. I'm like, no, it's not. It's actually normal. And he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, no. When you realize that what we do is normal, then you'll do it because that's your normal. But until then, you're going to keep thinking it's amazing and it's not amazing. Yeah. I'm like, you have to figure out that you can do this yourself and make this your normal first. And I say that because, I mean, you came into Family First Life straight killing off the bat. At your previous companies, when you're learning this, right? At like your first shot at insurance, how did you battle with, I can do 20, 30, 40, 50?
So my first week in the field, I went 0 for 21. I never forget that. And it was really hard and I wanted to quit. And then I changed my mindset. So I think mindset's big on this. For a while, my start was in financial services. I was friggin' stockbroker, but that was just dialing the freaking white pages for 50 hours a week back in the day. So I was like so grateful that someone would take my phone call that was there. And then in life insurance on a lead-driven culture, I was taking that same approach of gratefulness that they would like see me and meet with me. And then I was just like a weirdo in the house when I got there, like, oh, thank you for being here. And I was like, look, I switched my mindset to I needed them to be appreciative that I drove my ass out there 80 miles to see them and spend my time and my energy trying to protect their family. And when I did that, my results like just freaking boomed. Back in the day when 12 years ago, like 30,000 was a monster month and I was doing that pretty quick. What I always focused on doing was having a weekly goal, and 7,500 was my weekly goal for the majority of my career. And if I could do 7,500, things would be okay. My lead bills would go away. I'd make a really good income. This was in my 20s. When I was in my 30s, my bills got bigger, so I had to make more money. But 7,500 as in your 20s is a lot of freaking money. So I would like create a realistic goal that I wanted to hit. And if I didn't hit it, I beat myself to death about it and made sure I made it up the following week. And I made a lot of calls and I made a lot of dials and I held myself to a pretty extreme standard. So my upline never needed to micromanage me. Now, if I just focused on being the best version of myself and not trying to be Steve Giordano, I'm happier. So Steve bought a $3 million house. So Steve can't get out of the field. He has to work now. So he did that to himself. He doesn't have a choice. He don't want to do that. He does not want to write 30,000 a week. I promise you that. He's very exhausted of it. Some of these cats now that like they put these numbers up once in a while, but like I would be obsessed with consistency over like a big week. That's something that I know Steven will value more than a $20,000 week, and then a $2,000 week, and a $12,000 week, and then a 0 week, and then a $25,000 week where none of your business issues, and then an $8,000 week, and then a $1,000 week. Like, that shit's exhausting, and you can't have a budget on that. So rather than say like, I can't do this, oh man, like, it's amazing that he did that. Well, bro, do it every week, and then I'm impressed. I am not impressed with one big week. I am not impressed with a big week, a big day. It's like, do it for 75 weeks in a row, and then you got my respect, bro. Like, or just do it for a couple months. Like, forget about 75 weeks. But if you do 8,000 a week or 7,500 a week, you're a freaking Hall of Fame producer.
Yeah.
So who cares about a $10,000 weekend or a $20,000 week if they do it once a month, and then they write 10,000 the rest of the month? Because if you write 8,000 every week, you're 32,000 and they're 30. So you're actually a better producer than them. So screw that $20,000 week. I'm worried about a $20,000 week when one of my producers does that. I'm like, they're going to take off, then they're going to get chargebacks, and they're going to get pissed and quit. So I'd rather not have that. I'd rather just have a consistent, $5,000 to $10,000 a week producer all day. And that is doable. That's duplicatable. That's manageable. You can do that consistently.
You don't burn out.
You're not going to burn out.
I love how you and I said that at the same time, because you don't burn out doing that. See, like, one of the things, and we'll wrap up with this before I give it back to you. It's, I learned this from Paul McLean very early on. And like I said, Paul was a beast at selling insurance. Like, he had like a 90% show rate and a 90% close. So like, I got to get him on one time. But I say this because Paul told me this, and I was like, it was very, like, when I learned from him 4 or 5 years ago, he goes, I was never, ever in the top 10 submit week, ever in all 52 weeks. I just did my 10. He goes, but at the end of the year, I was number 3 in the company because I did 10 every week, while most people do 15 one week to the next, 17, 3, like, they fluctuate. And that's very hard. That's an emotional roller coaster compared to going, hey, I did 10 this week, 12 next week, 10 again, 14, 11, like, you're always at 10. And so like, that was my number, right? Like, my goal was to do 10 on the weekend. So like, when Tuesday and Wednesday came around, I never had to worry about it. If I didn't need to. So, but yeah, man, hey, Rob, I appreciate him because some of the stuff that he says is so good. Here's the other thing. I actually just hired a mental coach for myself, because that's like my biggest battle. Like, it's you versus you every day. And he said, hey, you want to know the best way to learn is you hear something 6 times, 6 different days. And I was like, oh, that's so true. And he said, one of the things that you can do is whatever nugget you thought you heard, repeat that 6 different times. And for some of you guys, that phone script, that in-home structure, that's definitely what you need. So Rob, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for hopping on and sharing all that good stuff with you. I love you. And if there's anything I can do to return the favor, as always, please let me know. So guys, thank you so much. We'll see you at the top.